Thank you for checking out our Nerdy Bits. It's Tim the Nerd along with Professor Aubrey, and we are back with Songs of the Week.
That's right. Here's your little update of what music you go listen to. Maybe you don't know this music and you might enjoy it.
That is right. How about you let us know what your choice is for the week?
Absolutely. And let me just say this one observation, though,
All right.
which is people get very different suggestions from me and from you. And so for that reason, I think this is really helpful because they know from you what kind of song they'll get, and they know from me what kind of song they'll get.
That's right. So if you want to buy us music as a gift, this is a great way to find out what we like.
Yes, indeed. So my song for the week is Courage by Villagers. Not the Villagers, just Villagers.
And not the Village People. They're not like the offshoot band like Jefferson Starship.
Fuck no. They are not. They are their own band. It's an Irish indie folk band. And it was started by this guy, Connor O'Brien. And he is the songwriter, and he's had a variety of people play with him under the name Villagers. And it did very well in European and Irish charts, not so much in America. And it's a really poignant song, of course, lyrically, because that's what I'm into. And it's about
Courage?
courage.
Oh, yeah, I got
It's about courage
it.
as an emotion. And it's profound, I think.
Well, how did you come across this song?
Well, I think Pandora, maybe way back in the day. So this song came out in 2015. I wasn't still listening to Pandora then, so it must have been a coffee shop. It's a very good coffee shop song. Some other, Spotify, some other service like
It just
Pandora.
magically popped up in the right way, which is kind of the beauty of what streaming services have to offer.
That's right. Some people are really anti-algorithm, and they don't want the algorithm to tell them what to watch or what to listen to.
And I sort of get that mindset because sometimes, sometimes the algorithm can be like, hey, Tim, here's the new Jane Austen adaptation. We know you'll love it. No, but at times, especially I think more so with music than anything else, it is nice every now and then, even with a playlist that you have. Like my playlists are usually really long, like hundreds and hundreds of songs, but I still find that if you hit shuffle, they're still going to play the same ones kind of relatively rapidly over and over again. And, if you get through a playlist, a lot of these services have the ability to add on other stuff that, is somewhat similar to what you listen to. And that's how it can give you some out of left field stuff. That's how I discovered Casey Musgraves.
Totally. And a similar thing must have been for the Buffalo guys. For
Now,
Jomo and the Possum Posse. Possum.
no, and the possum, the possum posse. No, with them that was a guy at work because they first hit it big in about 2012 with the guy on a Buffalo video on YouTube. It did, admittedly take me a few years to dig a little deeper into that band to find out they had more stuff that was in a lot of ways better than Guy in a Buffalo.
Not as funny though. The first time you watch Guy in a Buffalo,
it's
funny.
The Guy in the Buffalo is hilarious. I can still watch that and laugh my ass off. That's that and like the Chappelle show with the Rick James story, and rewatching stuff like the Springtime for Hitler dance from the Producers movie. Even though I'm not a big fan of that movie, the funniest thing I have ever seen was like the camera panning over the audience when the Broadway cast is singing Springtime for Hitler, and also Scott Tenorman Must Die.
Oh,
Yeah, it's one of those things, but yeah, that's that was slightly different, but kind of in the same thing,
yeah,
discovering from some other source than what I actively sought out.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's how we discover a lot of interesting things.
Yeah, it's just a matter of keeping yourself open. You don't want to be so stuck in the mindset of, I like rock and roll music, that you totally dismiss a chance to check out a Taylor Swift song, for example, that you might enjoy. Because, if Bob Dylan can be a fan of Kiss, you can like a Taylor Swift song.
Sure. Why not?
You're like, why did you have to bring my hero in the same sentence with Kiss? How dare you?
No, that's fine,
You're so disappointed that he likes Kiss. Anything else on Courage?
No, but I'm very interested to hear your song of the week.
Okay. Well, mine has a little history to it, and I will get to the name and stuff here in a moment because 30 years ago today, one of the most important moments in professional wrestling happened. And you're like, great, another pro wrestling story. 30 years ago today, WCW Monday Nitro went to 2 hours for the first time. They had been so successful in the ratings that Ted Turner decided he was going to give them an additional hour, and that additional hour would coincide with WWF Monday Night Raw's first hour. So they were not always head to head. WCW came on an hour beforehand, but at the start of the second hour of the show, they had a regular match going on with just these two middle card guys. Like, I don't know their names off the top of my head, and they're not going to be in anybody's professional wrestling Hall of Fame anytime soon. But about halfway through the match, the camera notices somebody in the background coming down through the audience, and you're looking, and as a wrestling fan, your jaw is dropping because Scott Hall made his debut on WCW that night. And you're like, okay, who's that? The week before, he had wrestled in the WWF as Razor Ramon, the bad guy. And this was at a time to where the internet was in its infancy. So the backstage stories that are now readily available at a keystroke were a little bit harder to come by. So people at that time were not expecting this to happen. And that ended up starting the ball rolling for one of the greatest storylines in professional wrestling history, the NWO storyline, the New World Order.
Mm-hmm.
And so the song I wanted to pick is from a group called Five Alarm Music. It's called Rockhouse. When WCW got their hands on it, they added some extra NWO stuff. And then for the playlist that we do for YouTube Music, I will add that version of the song as well that has the wrestling related, NWO in the song. But interesting enough, how WCW got that song was funny because they were part of the Turner organization. And Turner was an entertainment company and had his hands in a lot of stuff, including having music that they owned that they could use for, like Atlanta Braves baseball or the Goodwill games, or, I think that was at the point where maybe they were getting some basketball games as well. So having that type of music, and one of the songs that they had was the one I just mentioned that we're listening to. But I can't believe it's been 30 years.
Man, 30 years is a blink of the eye.
Yes. And you're like, I'm glad this conversation did not last 30 years. But like I said, one of the most important moments in professional wrestling history happened 30 years ago. And funny enough, too, that same night on Monday Night Raw, they had something happen where Goldust, played by Dustin Rhodes, Cody Rhodes' brother, who was just starting his work as the character Goldust, and you would not have liked him at that particular time because it wasn't at that particular time quite as friendly to the LGBTQ community as he later became.
Mm.
And what happened during that particular episode, there was a character who got like knocked out, and so Goldust came and goes, "I'll give him mouth to mouth," and then does that flick of the tongue, and then gives the guy mouth to mouth. And I'm watching that, and I'm like, you know what? I'm not watching wrestling again. Turned it off, put the remote down, walked away, and again on that same night on the other channel, one of the greatest professional wrestling storylines ever was just beginning. So that's always my luck.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Right. You
yeah,
miss it.
yeah. Again, I'm the guy who said iPads. Who's going to get an iPad when you got a computer?
Or a phone.
Yeah,
I have an iPad I never use.
yeah, yeah. I love my iPad.
You do. I know you use it.
Yeah. Well, anyway, any other thoughts about music for the week? Any other thoughts you want to say to our friends at home before we wrap up this nerdy bit?
No, I don't think so. Like, music's so important.
It does. I mean, even if that bit of music can tickle the nostalgia bug in your brain and, put a smile on your face, it is important to have in your life.
Absolutely.
Yes. All right. Well, thank you for checking out our Nerdy Bits. Each week, we will have something in this podcast space to entertain your ear holes. Until we meet again, we bid you adieu
So long.
for life. Subscribe to Friends Talking Nerdy
On YouTube Music, Apple Podcasts, Spotify,
or wherever you listen to podcasts.
Bye, friends.